Hello, welcome,
Yes,
welcome.
welcome to another episode of Committed and Covered, all things family and marriage talk.
CC, baby.
Yeah,
CC. I like that.
So let's talk about something that every couple probably
Hold on,
has.
you're just gonna jump right into it. Huh?
Yeah, we have our
our
same
hours.
guest, co-host,
Yeah, I mean,
family.
But our hour be going by so fast. We just gotta get in there.
That's
I
right.
know.
Yes,
Ooh,
yes.
Toya, this is pretty good. Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just gonna jump right into it.
Yeah,
Has your
yeah.
wife ever like? I mean, she did that on script. She like just jumped right into it. We didn't have any like foreplay.
Yeah.
So you didn't set it up. You didn't like
Yeah,
introduce
yeah.
everyone and tell everybody, give everybody
Because
a shout
this
Man,
out.
we only got
Okay.
so much time. Let's go on and
That's
get
right.
it in.
This is family.
I mean, we got
so-
Kimberly, we got Lillian.
Charles,
I mean, we
our
got
moderator.
Yeah.
Yes. Who else we got on here with us? Ingrid, Sister Clark, Jefferson.
Yes.
So yes, thank you guys so much. Lillian's in the house.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Let's give a warm welcome to
And
all of
applause.
our online viewers today.
See y'all. Yay.
But anyway, back to the regular programming.
You stood.
Today, this evening, guys, we're going to talk about sex versus intimacy, building deeper connections in your relationship. And you know, this was requested. This topic has been requested
Really?
several times. So for those, I'm not going to call you out online that have consistently been requesting this. This is part 2 to our last year we talked about sex.
Let's talk about sex.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
sex
Yeah.
last
Sure
year.
did.
Let's talk about
So
sex.
this time we're going to
Next
talk
time.
about the difference. That's right.
That's right, Kimberly. What's up, Doc Wood?
So,
Hey, Charles,
but
we
this
love the
evening-
T-shirts too. We do.
Oh, who
There's
said that?
Yeah, Charles said he loves the T-shirts. We
Okay.
love them too.
Thank you.
We got to get our new
Yeah,
theme,
we'll have some
but
new
this
ones
is this is last
soon.
year's. But you know, hey, well,
We just do what we do.
we do.
That's
we do.
right.
Yeah.
But this evening, again, the conversation is about sex versus intimacy, the
Whoa.
difference between the two. And so, you know, what's funny is oftentimes couples, one of us want to talk, have a deep conversation, a heart-to-heart conversation over dinner, and then you have some that wants to jump to the main course, or let me say the dessert.
The dessert.
The dessert, right? And so what we're
Okay.
going to do today is we're going to talk about, you know, sometimes they want to skip straight to the bedroom.
Yeah.
But today we're going to talk about, we're going to unpack this, the difference between sex and intimacy and what some of us need and what some of us want. So to get us started, you know, we always kind of like to pose a question to our,
Let's put it out there.
pose a question. So the question is, what's something non-sexual your partner does that makes you feel deeply connected.
Mercy.
Is this rhetorical? We just think about it?
No, this is we are this is our starter question. This is our opener question. What is something that's non-sexual that your partner does that makes you feel deeply connected? Okay, so since it's quiet,
Yeah, it's quiet.
I'll start out.
Start us out.
Okay, I'll start up. What I really like to me that makes us feel deeply connected is when Malcolm is paying attention to what I have to say. If I'm talking to him about something and I have his undivided attention, that is a strong connection for me, as well as if I'm washing dishes or if I'm cooking or if I'm doing something and he just surprisingly comes up behind me and hugs me and pulls me close to him or touches me in an intimate way and keeps it moving.
Okay. So let's role play that. So you, if I'm like this, not to come up behind us though, because we're sitting down. So if I'm like this on my phone, like, and you talking, go ahead. Like that's not.
That doesn't do anything.
But if I'm like, I can multitask.
No.
Yeah.
No
I'm just helping the audience because some people are visual learners.
It's good to know.
But like this is what you need. Like if you're talking to me, I'm like this.
Undivided attention,
Yes,
where we
okay.
are eye to eye contact.
All right. Some of us need that.
Yes.
That's
right.
Absolutely.
That's
So
right.
that's
Cool.
So
I like
what
it.
about you guys? But I like what Jefferson says. She says intimacy is the stretch before the main workout,
Oh,
and we're
yeah.
going to talk
I
about
love
that
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yes,
I love
yes.
that.
Stretch it, baby.
So it's interesting that you said that because I just told Troy here recently when I'm cooking and he come up behind me and give me a hug like that. It's just
I always
something
like to
about
come up
that.
behind her.
But it's always from the back for whatever reason.
Yeah. Hey,
Rated M.
yeah, we gotta ease them in.
I might need it.
The teeth.
But another thing for me that makes me feel deeply connected is, and I know we're talking about cooking and like me washing this, but when he notices that I need help and he does it for me,
Okay.
you know, that just,
Yeah.
I tell him all the time, I say, babe, you see me, like you see me, and I appreciate that. Like in other words, he sees me drowning, he sees I'm overwhelmed, and I wake up and the kitchen is done. Oh,
Ooh, that sounds good.
it's on.
That's right.
It's on.
Yeah. You think that would just click in more often. But
Yeah, you're right, Troy. You're right.
Association.
Yeah.
But, you know, we try to do
I think
that.
what it is, we do it in our mind, right? But it's not doing it physically or how it needs to be done, you know? So, yeah, you know, you think like, okay, you didn't say, babe, you did an awesome job in the kitchen, you know? But in your mind, you feel that way. And I think men and even women fall in that category too. We need to be more mindful of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess for me, since you ladies shared,
It is an open discussion.
It's open discussion.
Open discussion.
yeah, just noticing things like, you know, not only noticing things, but for me, it's intimate touch. Like, you know, the touch and the words to come with it. Like, let's say if she says, babe, you got a nice haircut. My thing is, I would like, ooh, man, you like rub the head like, you got a nice, haircut. You know what I mean? You know,
Take notes, Nick. Take notes.
But I thought it was supposed to be
None sexual. So like
what we are doing, what I do,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I do
Yeah,
to
you're
make
right.
him
You're
feel
right.
connected.
Oh, that's true, that's
yeah,
true.
but that's to make me feel connected. Like, you got a nice, you know, like nice.
So you're saying I do that?
You do, yeah. Well, you don't do that right there. I'm being funny. But I'm thinking about it. I kind of like that. Like,
That's
I want you to do
That's
that.
nice.
You know,
slow,
But
not just.
we're kind
Sure,
of back
not,
to
just like you know, after you
That's
clean
right.
that head up,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
Chantel,
yeah.
with her hands are warm
Yeah,
too.
it's something
and she
about
says,
them
baby,
hands.
that was your head. Just
Yeah. You said what, baby? What,
Yeah,
say
you
that
just
again.
keep
What you-
rubbing it, too.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But you're not answering
These
the
guys.
question. That's
Okay.
what we're back to again. We're back
Okay.
to. Do we need to come back and let you think about it?
I already thought about it. I mean, it works for me. I'm just saying.
No,
Yeah.
it is.
I
What
understood
is
Okay.
something that your partner does?
Ooh, the
That's the
operative
key
word does.
Yes. We'll come to you, Troy.
Yeah,
Can we
yeah,
come
yeah.
to you?
What's
'Cause
something that I do?
27 years, if you can't think of something,
I
we're gonna
can.
come on. We're gonna
I
come
can.
on to you.
I Mr. Does. Okay.
What she does, and see, it's a thing too. As men, we're answering questions. Like we just sometimes we need y'all to just understand what we're saying. You know what I'm saying? Like it might not just be articulated direct, but we saying it. We saying it. I felt what Malcolm was saying.
Amen.
I felt what Malcolm.
Why y'all not answering the
Male
question?
power. I got an answer.
I guess we're not
Malcolm-
doing anything.
I got one.
Guess.
I got one.
And that's why I want my man to get out, but he got an answer,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
This is a married man. He got an answer.
right.
He got
So
a few.
Nicole, can you read the question one more time, just so that we make sure that
Because
everybody's
we
on
about
the
to
same
stay on this
page?
for 10 minutes.
No, it's fine.
Somebody help us
Well,
out, right?
Vaughn said that she and her husband, they talk to each other, they give each other a hug, in
the morning,
Yeah,
single
that was
morning,
nice.
yeah.
That was
Okay,
nice.
thank you, Vaughn.
But I can answer the question. I
Okay.
just missed does, like currently does, My bad.
I
know
got
what
you,
mean?
man.
I'm just kind of ahead of the curve. You know how you kind of
Okay.
started, you just jumped into it, right? So like for me, like when, and this is like nice, like when we have moments where we kind of disagree, right? But like Nicole still bring me something to eat. Yeah, I think that's nice. Because I'm like, man, she kind of broke me down a little bit. I wanted to continue this, but I'm gonna eat and say thank you and appreciate the love. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
I told you I had one. I just missed the.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Mr. Dubs.
are you
Yeah,
ready? Or
that
do we
was
need to go?
no,
to
that
the-
was the same one for me actually.
Exactly.
You know that? You didn't
Yeah.
know that?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've talked about
Okay.
it.
Yeah, the cooking, the food. Food is very important and intimate to me.
Especially when they bring it in the robe and then the robe actually just
Yeah.
falls over.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we
Okay.
go.
Thank you.
And they say, oops.
So one more. When did you last laugh together, and how did it deepen your bond?
Okay.
So when did you last laugh together, and how did it deepen your bond? Because I know I love to laugh. Laughing makes me feel good. It makes me feel better. It's just overall a feel good. And I always think that he says something funny. So just the other day we were in a car and he says, I can't even remember what he said, but I laughed so hard that, he said, that's really funny, right? I was like, yeah, that's funny to me. So I think laughter is good for the heart and definitely in
Yeah.
relationships in general. So yes.
Absolutely. Troy and I, we actually role play, but not like
Uh-oh.
no. See, I already knew that was gonna go. I mean, we can
Especially
do
in my
that
mind.
too.
Yeah.
But we'll find something that happened that was funny, but then we'll, even if it stopped right there, we'll carry it on like how we think that it would play out.
Yeah.
And so to answer the question, we laugh a lot.
Right.
We laugh all the time.
We
laugh
just
a lot.
did a little something. We just came from a funeral today. It was sad, but we try to lighten things up. And
Right.
she just gave this gesture to our aunt. She looked at her aunt and was like,
Uh-huh.
and so her and our aunt made contact and she was like, so I looked at her and I was like,
And we
and we
barely
just
laugh.
busted out
Like,
laughing.
That's
role
pretty
play.
good.
That's
All right,
right.
so let's turn our attention just a little bit to our online
Yes,
fam
yes.
because they've been putting some pretty good stuff in
Yes.
there.
All right.
Donna Reed, she said, a good evening. And of course, seeing the kitchen done will leave more time for the grand time.
Okay.
Write that
now.
down.
That's right.
That's it.
And then
That's right.
Jefferson Satisfaction said, quality time, words of affirmation, intimate touch. She's really on those 5 love languages.
That's right.
there.
The
Bring
love
it
language.
in.
All right,
Bring
all
it
right.
in.
Vaughn said Terrence and I always, they say good morning and a hug. We said that as well. And let's see. Yeah, so we're kind of catching up. And,
Yeah,
and
she's-
Ray, morning affection, touch. Oh, that's nice.
Gentle massage.
Yeah,
occasionally.
yeah. Okay, all right. And speak to me. All right, Ray, you telling it. Now we got a brother in there helping us out. And thanks, guys. So keep dropping it in.
That's
Yeah,
right.
keep
Said
dropping
that
them.
their debates turn into laughter. And
Yeah,
I think
I saw
that's
that one
good.
too. I missed
Yeah,
that.
That's good.
That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah. And I would like to know how long have you been married too, because that that comes with wisdom sometimes when you debates can turn into laughter. So so if you can share with us how long you've been married, that would be great. So okay, we've started with our conversation starters. So now let's get into the actual conversation.
Uh-oh.
What is the difference? We need to define the difference between sex and intimacy, and how are they connected yet different?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? What's the difference between sex and intimacy?
You know what? Honestly, for some men, not all of us, we're not in all the same category. It's a process that we have to learn because oftentimes, especially younger, when we first got married, I'm 26, you're 24. the sexual encounter to me was intimacy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, you know, I know we kind of PG/rated M. We're not talking rated X, but just the act of sex to me was intimate. You know, I honestly thought that's, you know, was good, but you know, communication, talking,
Okay.
you know, you see it's more. But here's the other thing, right? As you learn each other, as you get used to each other, you tend to not do the things that excited you most.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that kind of, you know, we do that can fall short sometimes. You know, it's like sex is automatic, but it's not really automatic, and you have to work through that. So I hope I did the long form answer to your question. But yeah, it's a difference, you know. And I think what I am saying is that for most of us, we have to grow into understanding that sex is one thing, intimacy is another. They can collide together and be real nice, but you can't have one without the other. You know, you can have sex and no intimacy. You can have intimacy and no sex.
And I think
That's
that sex is a physical expression.
Okay.
You know, where you're actually, you know, you're expressing love, passion, but it doesn't necessarily require an emotional bond. So to me, you
Talking
can
about
do
sex.
sex. You can do one and not have the other.
This is true.
So for me, that is the difference, you know. But when we think of intimacy, we're thinking of a close emotional connection, you know, with your partner, a vulnerability with your partner.
Yeah.
I agree, because I think like with intimacy, it strengthens the quality of the sex.
It does.
You feel what I'm saying? It's like,
Yes.
especially as us, a lot of us men, some of the ladies are like that too. But you know, we can sometimes be disconnected emotionally and still like, hey, you know, this still ain't nothing to just.
That's
you know,
right.
Just make it happen.
Throw it down.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But I think for both parties, it's the sex is more intimate, it's more enjoyable, it's more connected when we are emotionally connected. And so I think the aspects of that emotional connection a lot of times involves the conversations that we have, just uninterrupted, like we were saying. The kids are not interrupting. Some of us have the grandkids are not interrupting. Nobody's interrupting the texting and things like that. You know, for us, some of y'all should try it. But we like morning worship. It's just something about the things that happen in the morning.
Yeah. The sun rises.
Especially when you just
sun
tired
rises.
from a long day. It's something
That's
about
right.
when we rise in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when we have our worship, it comes with a different flair. And sometimes it doesn't involve sex after worship, but it's not a bad thing, y'all. Some
No, it's
people,
not.
y'all think we sinning because we having sex at worship, through worship, or whatever.
That's right.
But
Come
that's
on
a
now.
good thing for couples, for
Yeah,
married
it is.
couples.
So what you're saying then, intimacy is emotional,
Yeah.
intellectual,
Spiritual.
and spiritual.
Yes.
It is.
And it can be
Yes.
that makes the actual physical act of sex much better.
Yeah,
Much
yeah,
better.
So it's higher
more
order.
quality.
Yes.
Better quality.
I see intimacy as like intentional, you
Yes.
know, versus sex. I mean, you have a goal that you're trying to achieve, but I feel like, you know, you can put a time limit on it. You can put a time limit on the sex. The intimacy is more thought out, more planned, more, you know, you're more connected. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, for whatever reason, when sex, I just look, to me, that's like a quickie. That's what that's what comes to my mind.
Yeah, you
Well,
can only do that for so
but
long.
but I look at
Yeah.
okay. I look at sex. It could be quickie. It can be long lasting, but it's just when and the time. And Sister Rose says that that's called morning joy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right,
But you
Julie.
know,
Yeah,
like,
man, y'all, this is abusive, man. Y'all
Yeah,
got
it
y'all
is.
son over here on the mic.
Yeah.
I mean, over here.
It's
our
nothing
producer.
new. Trust me, our producer.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
like,
nothing
and
new.
he can't filter it out. It's
No,
just
he
like,
can't.
because he
He
got to
can't.
know everything that's going on.
It's teaching him. You know, in our household, no conversation is off limits.
But I guess kind of what you two ladies both are saying, sex has to end at one point in time because we're human, and you know, you ain't got but so many in you, right?
Right.
But intimacy can continue,
Yeah.
like, even after the sexual act. Intimacy can still go on, you know.
And that's basically, I think, what Hazel was saying. Intimacy is how you treat each other in spite of each other. The small things that may seem insignificant, but keep the fire burning.
Oh, I agree with that because
Yes.
I think intimacy involves a lot with what helps us and makes us feel like that we're in love.
Yeah.
Like that's what make the things that happen with intimacy a lot of times make us feel like that we're in love. With just having sex, you don't necessarily have to feel like you're in love with someone just to have sex.
Right.
It's just like dude was saying, bang, bang, bang.
Yes,
yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm sorry.
But in a healthy,
That's what he does.
But you know, in a healthy relationship, we know that intimacy helps the sexual part.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know, and that's what we're talking about. If you're in a healthy relationship,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that intimacy is going to help the actual act of sex and deepen, you know, and then of course the sex is going to deepen the intimacy too.
Yeah.
A lot of individuals who there are people in marriages right now that are just having sex.
Yes.
And there's no intimacy.
Yes.
And I think this happens more often with the women than the men sometimes because we just go for whatever's on. But then the wives are participating in the act of sex. Some guys, the act of sex, but not feeling the intimacy. You know, and it feels like a job.
Yeah.
And then we sometimes wonder why the wife is not willing and ready to explore other things because a lot of times she's just trying to get it out the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But
yeah.
what, does that make sense,
No, it
ladies?
does.
You're right.
You're right.
It does, but I think that I think in order to have and experience that intimacy, you have to have a connection. Like you can't be
Yes.
disconnected.
Right.
You know, I feel like you can be disconnected in just having sex because you, like I say, you just come in together to meet a need.
Right.
But to have the intimacy, you have to be connected to your spouse. Like you have to have a deep connection to explore that.
I'm just interested. Malcolm did. Yeah, well, I didn't. I'll just say I didn't know a lot about intimacy from this perspective when I first got married as a man. Was that? Did you understand that?
Well, you know what? I married the two. Like for me, intimacy and sex went together. In its proper place. Like, you know, my wife is intimacy in sex, right? So when we have sex, even if it's whatever, I felt like that was intimacy as well.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it was an intimate moment for me. Because
The
I appreciate
sexual
it.
was the intimacy.
Because I appreciate it, but that's not for everyone. You know?
Yeah.
And especially what I'm seeing with my wife, I can't say for women because I'm married to one woman, but it's a difference for her. Like the two are not the same.
So there's some misconceptions about
Exactly.
I didn't know about it.
intimacy
I thought it was the
versus
same.
sex.
Yeah.
I thought, hey, you enjoy it?
Yeah.
I
What else
enjoyed
do
it.
you want besides this? I mean,
Well, I have a question for our online viewers.
Yes.
You know, post in the chat. What did you have a misconception about intimacy versus sex? And if so, what is it? Because what you're saying is you put both of them together,
Sure
right?
did, yeah.
And Troya, you said you
Definitely,
did too. And I know for me as a wife, I looked at the two differently. I might not have really understood it at the beginning of our marriage, but it was something that I knew, I felt and thought like, you know, I need some intimacy.
Right.
And what does that look like?
Right.
You know, so.
And like some people have dropped in the chat, Kimberly Russell, she said intimacy starts in the kitchen, you know. And but like for someone else, like intimacy may start when I wake up in the morning, you know, just a hello babe, you know, or you know, just something, you know. For each one of us, it may be just a little bit different, almost the same, but just a little bit different.
And but that's okay to me as long as the spouses, you know what it looks like to you, the wife, and then what it looks like to the husband, of being on the same page.
yeah, I think that's so important because I don't know that many times that we understand the importance of opening up that conversation. And then some of us, if unfortunately, don't even understand that there's a conversation to be had.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so I think that's important. It's like, hey, this is just want to talk a little bit about some of what my needs are, what I need. We'll talk about, or you could start off and say, tell me about your needs. And then that's a technique to kind of share what your needs are.
But that's why this topic is important. That's why it's
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah, you
That's
have
why
to
we
have a
need to talk
conversation.
about it.
Well, Leah said respect and intimacy can be synonymous
For men.
Okay.
Y'all agree?
Well, I don't disagree, right? But I understand what she's meaning because, respect is, and I hate it. I don't want this to sound like it's male chauvinist minded or respect to most men is when I ask for it, it's done.
Yeah.
I'm not making you, but when I ask for it, it's done, and it's done.
And act like you want it.
Yeah. And not just it. When sex is not, it is not just sex.
True.
It's like when I ask for it, like, yeah, babe, so.
And that's the thing I think about us men too.
That's another topic right
No,
there.
that's real stuff.
It is.
That's
It
real
is.
stuff.
Yeah.
I think most of us men, when it comes to intimacy, if we're trying to share or even learn about intimacy, we don't want to be in a situation where we feel like we're having to beg. The male ego doesn't want to run after you necessarily with some of these things. And sometimes that feels like respect that, hey, I'm trying. Are you meeting me? Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Because a lot of us are prone, because this is what we've been taught. It's just like, okay, if you're not hearing me, I'm showing you signs that I'm trying to be vulnerable. I'm trying to be open or whatever. If you're not hearing me, then I just tap out.
Yeah.
And then we just go back to the phase one.
Being married has taught me best what the Bible says about being a cheerful giver. That's
Cheerful.
everything. It's like if it's begrudging, just we
do
can keep it. Well, not this time, but you keep it next time.
I mean, and I can understand that because I do believe, and I've heard other women say that works the same for women
It
that
does.
are, have a high libido too, So, but we are going to talk more about that when we get to tips.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some tips.
Got some
Tips
tips.
and-
Tips
tips
for the
and
wives and tips for
and
tips for
tricks.
the husband, So, but Yvonne said talking and just being together is very intimate.
Yeah.
And then Kimberly says we need to learn what intimacy looks like for your mate because it's a unique fingerprint, and that is so true.
And we can
It
set the
is.
example, like what Vaughn said, talking, right? If you go out to a restaurant and you see couples there, like it's literally some couples that they're just on their phone, not even
right.
really like looking
That's
at each
right.
other,
Yeah, it's
not
true.
no eye contact,
Right.
but like it was your birthday. We went out for your birthday, and I mean, like for us, we talked to each other at the table, but I mean, it's a common thing that people are out on a date and not
Right.
no real intimacy.
Yeah, but then they'll go home and have
Yeah.
sex.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're fine.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And then but I'm just being the devil's advocate. That's their intimacy.
Right.
Yeah, if
Right.
that
That's,
works for both
that
parties.
works for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one to judge, but what I see when I see that, because I oftentimes tell Malcolm, I don't want that to be us. Let's make an intentional effort not to be that way. But again, if that works for them, then that's fine.
We already got a tip. Leah said, exercise with your spouse.
Exercise. with
That's
your
true.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good one.
get all
Well,
sweaty
that's
together.
on. That is a tip, Leah. Thank you for that. We call that experiential intimacy, where you're doing things with your
All right,
spouse.
look at you. Behavioral health.
Oh, yeah. Where you have a hobby with your spouse. You're doing things together. Whether it's going out to eat, volunteering together, exercising. So all of those things. And Donna also says mute the phone on a date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean
silence.
actually, just put it out of the way, But so we're talking about exploring intimacy, and we're talking about how intimacy is an emotional closeness where you're being vulnerable, where you have trust, and you're communicating. And then if we talk about those different types of intimacy, like you said, Troy, we have emotional, physical, spiritual.
Yeah.
And so all of those things, how that looks for you is how it looks for you and your spouse. But we want to be able to express what that looks like from a woman's perspective as a
Exactly.
wife,
Yeah.
and then from
Amen.
the husband's perspective. So we want non-touch, non-sexual touch to help build intimacy as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always about the physical touch. You know, it can be just a conversation, things like that. So
Obama said go for a walk.
And that's a good one.
Yeah.
No, it's really good. And I think that I don't know if any younger viewers or younger men take the tips, man, because
Yes.
these things, like we were saying starting out, like from a man's perspective, sometimes things that we don't understand, we don't do. So we think that it doesn't work. We won't even try it. Like a walk, cleaning up the kitchen. Like, what's that going to get me?
Yeah.
Like, absolutely
Try it and
nothing.
see.
Try it.
But hey,
Try
my
it.
brother,
Right.
like start
That's
early.
right.
You know, if you
Right.
hadn't already gotten started.
Yeah, because we get it confused. I mean, you know, it's crazy how some men think. You know, like, hey, if she sees, I mean, I'll be brutally honest. Like, if some men are like, oh, if she sees an erection, she's gonna get hot. You know, I mean, come on, that's
I had to laugh hard.
yeah. And I mean, it's kind of like.
but not
I mean, it's some situations
But that's some
like that, though.
situations,
So
if it's been a while, if it's been a while,
but let's flip the coin.
But it doesn't always
Hey,
work.
some
let's flip the-
situations, but that's not
But
not the norm,
Go
unfortunately.
ahead, Nicole, because
No,
I
it's
got.
But let's flip the coin on that.
That's a
Let's
good
flip
one.
the coin. If I'm knee deep into washing clothes,
I thought you was about to say
cooking,
DD. Well, go ahead. No, I'm being
washing
funny.
clothes, cooking, tending to the kids, and you walk past. In terms of what you said with an erection, that's not going to.
No, it's not.
That's not going to.
That's not gonna
get
help
me
that.
excited.
But if I fold up some clothes with you,
Yeah,
There
come
you
on,
go.
There you
put a
go.
little food in one of those
Or
kids'
like,
mouths.
There you
like I
go.
said, because I often tell Choya, like I can feel when there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so if there's a disconnection, that erection don't
Doesn't
mean
mean
nothing. You
Right.
know, so I just
Right.
be like, oh, I see a guy.
It
that
means
still
something
turn
for
me
us,
on.
though.
It means a lot. I'm like, hey, look, I'm here. Hello.
Yeah.
But
Let's
you know,
talk to
so
me.
I mean, it makes me feel good to know that I
Right.
can still move you in that way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Right.
But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, if
Yeah.
I'm not connected,
But that goes back to that emotional
yeah,
connectedness that when we have that intimacy, that connection is going to flow over into the sexual.
Yeah.
You know, and I like what someone said. My husband, Jefferson said, my husband said, clean the whole house and see what happens.
Oh yeah.
So and that's what I'm saying. Like we literally give playbooks a lot of times.
Y'all do.
As women.
Yeah.
Yes,
like
we
we
do.
give you the playbook to
Yeah,
like
hints.
take it and run with it. Cause like we're pretty, you know, I would say, let me just speak for myself. I think my sis is too.
Yeah, you're
pretty
right.
consistent. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't take a lot. You know, just wash the dishes, and
Mm-hmm.
I, you know,
Yeah.
hint.
Hooray.
But you
Hint,
know,
hint, hooray.
you know, women, we do like meaningful conversations too. And not saying that men don't, but this is another intimacy piece. Like, you know, like Malcolm knows that if I'm coming to him and I'm talking to him, I was like, hey, babe, I want to talk to you about something, and I'm being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you on this. I
True.
don't want to see you
True.
multitasking. That is the quickest turn off for me to be like, never mind, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Quickly.
But when
That happened this week.
Quick.
Yes.
But when you're being vulnerable, and then, you know, especially because I know recently I was being vulnerable about how I was feeling about something, and he was listening, and then I got emotional about it. So, you know, he was like, come on, babe, you know, sit on my lap, you know, he's cuddling. That
See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
speaks my love language too.
Yeah.
That fills
That's
my
it.
cup with that intimacy. So when later on that night, you know, I'm like, you know what? Yeah. Where's that erection?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Right. Go get it.
Yeah. But you know, it's
I want to
amazing.
see
Go
what
ahead.
Liz
Go ahead.
said. So Liz said, but as women, we have to learn to walk from daily chores and other things to focus on intimacy. The dishes will always dish. And so for me,
That's true.
That's
Facts.
true, Leah. We agree.
Facts.
I agree. We agree. And it's not just about the dishes. Like, even for me, like, one thing that really helps me feel connected is check-ins. Like, check-ins often. Babe, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you know, how's your day? Like, what's going on in your world? What do you need? How can I help you? You know what I'm saying? Like that, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's not just about, you know, washing dishes and doing all the things around
True.
the house. It's that, because see, that helps me connect emotionally to my husband, because it's like, okay, he sees me, you know, now he's hearing me and he's
Right.
ready to take action. So
And even like what Leah was saying, I do understand what you're saying, Leah, but you know, like you're speaking on that part about if there's a disconnect with you and your spouse and you're feeling overwhelmed with those things, you don't just think to let me just stop because there's a disconnect. Because to me, if we are on one and we're connected, then I'll say to myself, you know what, I'll get these clothes tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let me go. But when there's a disconnect, which we all have sometimes throughout our marriage, especially if we're doing a lot of different things constantly on the go and things like that, you can have that. But I feel like when we are on one accord, you can say, let me just put this to the side and
Absolutely.
feed my
Absolutely.
spouse. You know?
Absolutely.
It's one thing I was thinking about too, because we're talking about what builds intimacy, but I think, you know, what had been an intimacy barrier, I don't know that either one of us is aware of for a while, is just my impatience. Sometimes, like, if Chantel say something to me, whatever, I think it sounds stupid, whatever. I'm just like, I just have something that she'll see on my face that I guess is like, okay, like you just said something that don't make sense to me or whatever, and just not having patience. And
Oh yeah, you about to get in
she's
trouble.
laughing about it.
Yeah.
But
we've all
but
been
I
there.
just didn't even know it, and it was stupid on my end. But just learning, like, Troy, you're not being patient enough. That's not kind. It was
Right.
never intentional. And I wonder why she would just get so upset at me, you know. But I wasn't consciously doing it. But over time, with us communicating, I start learning that, you know, sometimes your response, you're thinking it's your wife that's causing the problems, but really your reaction to something that she just said that you didn't agree with, you didn't think it made any sense, it sounded too emotional to you. Then, you know, so then one of us has to step it up.
That's
as far
right.
as being able to call the other person out in a kind way, or noticing that, hey, there's some intimacy barrier. We can't just both be firing off. And we notice and learn that. Well, I learned that I was sparking up things that was causing an intimacy barrier. So why is she gonna want to, you know, be romantic and things with me? And then she's feeling like, oh, you're not respecting
Yeah.
what
That's
I have
right,
to say.
yeah.
But what I would do, like he said, be romantic and intimate with him. What I would do is have sex with him because I'm not gonna deprive
That's
him of
right.
that.
That's nice.
Thank
But,
God.
but I'm
That's
not.
right.
I'm just not.
Thank
I
God.
may
Hey.
not be like
Yes.
all in like I would be if
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
if he,
yeah,
if
yeah.
he
Might
had
not
just
be
like
that
five
We want you all in, but we'll take what we get a lot of times too.
That's
It
right.
might not be the fireworks.
We'll take what we
It
get
might
while
not
we
be the
learning.
fireworks.
Right. No fireworks, no fireworks. Just those little things that you throw and they pop. But with no fire,
Under the bombs. That's right. That's right. But like Donna says patience is key, and it is because that's a part of that intimacy to me. And then Donna also said it depends on frame of mind at the moment.
Yeah. And you know, honestly, like usually it's like we have to figure out the woman. We have to figure out the woman because it's so
Still
complex.
mood.
But it's amazing how we are wired in general. Now, all of us, you know, gender speaking, can be different from the actual usual gender perspective. But women become, to me, this is me, you guys in the sexual exchange become more cerebral. Right? We become less cerebral, more mechanic. Right? Like for us, it's like in, out. And I'm not trying to be funny, guys. It's like for us, in, out, that's my mechanics of this sexual encounter. But for you ladies, it's like not just in, out. It's touch, feel.
Yeah,
You know,
And we're
you know,
gonna get to that on
you know,
about the
it's-
tips too.
So for us, I think with ladies, there's, even though we're simple in general, more simple when it comes to the sexual experience, then there's something we got to figure out with the men. And then figure out, okay, how can I work in his mechanics with my mental mechanics?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And okay, you are like this, Malcolm, in, out. So I need you to round and, you know, am I making sense?
Yes, I get
Thank
what you're
you, thank
saying,
you.
but also, like you said, you know, you guys are kind of like more one way. For women, it is emotional for us. We are
repeating what I said.
we are overthinkers. We think about it, you know, and 1 + 1 = 2 for us, especially
Five.
when it comes
it
to the
equals
bed.
five.
You know, when it
We
comes
think
to the
it
bedroom.
equals 5, though. We
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
We don't think it's 2.
Yeah,
No.
math on that.
Right.
It's gonna be 2 today, right?
Because like you were saying, if you are stressed or if there's a disconnect, even if there's like a communication breakdown or if you're being impatient, all of those things for us, that might be in the moment for you guys, but those things play a major part when we actually make it to the bedroom.
And that's totally different
Yes.
for most of us men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
And we're not trying to drag it on or not being forgiving, but it's just here.
Because we forgot.
Yes.
Even if you offended us, by the time we ready to go, like that's, unless it's just really bad, we're real, we accept the forgiveness and we're letting you repent and we move on.
Yeah.
But for women, it seems like even after the repentance, it can carry on.
Yeah, that is true. Especially if you're in need. You're like, hey, I know we real mad at each
let's
other.
just make
That's
up
right.
fast.
Yeah, real quick.
But that's the best. That's the best.
Okay.
That's the best time. For
Yeah,
me.
yeah. And everybody's different.
And and I see that in the chat too. Some of you are leaving tips like text each other throughout the day and things like that. All of those keep them coming, guys. I saw in the chat some of you've been married, I think 20-something years, 9 years. So all of that, put what you've experienced in the chat for us
All right, Leah,
too.
what Leah said.
And Leah says,
okay, Leah.
Right there,
Leah says maybe we can learn from each other. Maybe women should become more mechanical and men more emotional during those intimate sessions. Sometimes we overthink and the men overact. Let's swap and see.
That's good.
That's a good thought.
That's a good thought.
But
but
like
I don't know
they
if the
said,
men can do
I
it
know,
though.
like, 'cause I don't think they're wise.
But
I don't think they're wise.
you see what we get, Malcolm.
Yeah, I know. We
Listen to the sister. Don't listen to us.
And I know the Sabbath is over for us because the OJs put it best. They can do it. Last night, me and my woman, we cried together. Yes, we cried.
Come on.
And men are supposed to cry. He said, we cried.
Yeah.
Cried.
Cry.
Yeah, so but look,
They doubting us, man.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
But time is fleeting, guys. So we
All right.
we want to get to the tips.
They want to get past that.
I know.
Right? They don't
So
wanna
let's
talk-
talk
No, they
about
don't.
let's talk about some practical tips, guys. And so when we talk about practical tips, we want to make sure we're setting aside some meaningful conversations with your spouses. And then, as some of you have put in the chat, text some sexual text to your
okay.
Things
Yeah,
like
somebody
that.
did put that in the text on the.
Practice listening and affirming each other. Yeah, we see Scott is in the house. That's right. And also, but what I think will be interesting, okay, guys, or do you want us to go first? Because please listen to the question.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so before we
We probably
close
should go
out,
first.
we'll go first. We're going to give from the woman's perspective. We're going to give some tips that can help our men to be to know how to be more intimate with us, and then
like it.
the men will definitely give their tips. So, do you want to go first, Sean?
Donna said crying is a language. I like that. Thank you. Thank you for
Okay,
that
so for
support.
me, one of the tips would be just figuring out simply ask your wife what is romantic, what is romance to her. Just simply ask us, what does that look like for us, and what do we want? And I feel that you have to be a student of your wife. You have to practice learning us so that you will know. So that's my tip number one.
And I need to sometimes repeat, and then you could tell yours again. What is it? Do what now again?
Be a student.
All right, amen.
A student
All right.
of your wife. Learn what she likes.
Take
Ask her
notes.
what she likes. Yeah, take notes. And because it's not about what you want. It's about what your spouse needs, your wife needs for that to have that intimacy.
And I want to piggyback off that. That's a good one because I feel like society has shown us what romance looks like, but
Yes,
that doesn't
yes.
fit for everybody.
No,
You know what I'm
no.
saying? Like I don't have to have the red carpet laid out and flowers thrown everywhere. I don't. That's
Right.
okay. I see that. I'd be like, oh, that's cute.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But that's not what I
Yes.
need. And so I feel like sometimes men can be intimidated by what they think romance is or what
Right.
romantic looks like, and so they'll steer away from it altogether.
Yes.
So I think it's
Yes.
important what Nicole is saying. Find out for your spouse because it may not be what you think it is, and it may be something so simple, but it's still
Right.
romantic for them. Like it could be a horseback ride.
Yeah.
And then,
Ooh.
but don't
You
leave
know what
it.
I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
but,
true.
and don't just leave it up to us, because to me, some men think that romance is just for us, the women, to plan. And that's not the case. You all can do it as well.
Yeah.
Plan a
You're
romantic
evening. You just saying that for the.
I'm
for the
saying
people,
it in
right?
general.
For the people.
You
Well,
wasn't saying that to me.
well, you know, I'm about to say what they say. The saying is a hit dog.
Oh no.
If
Oh,
that's
no.
okay. But no, I was talking in general because, you know, men do think that the romance part is just us to come up with what we need to do, but sometimes it's
All
not,
right,
yeah.
all right. Karen said being
On
taken
point, Nicole, being a student of your wife. Thank you, Karen.
All right,
Yes.
Dr. Frater. But you know, tips, right? I would make it real simple, and there's room for improvement for everyone in this room, and that's the room of communication, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I think it still boils down to communication. And I know I've got a lot of room for improvement.
We all do.
With that. And one of my friends texted me talking about throwing in some tips and tricks. I said, you need to put it in the chat. His name is Nate. You need to put it in the chat. So with that, communication, and I do tell myself, Choya, that man, I need to do better with like the right type of communication at the right time.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I don't want to blow my chance, because sometimes I'll have the wrong communication, and that blows my chance for, you know, a fun evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could do that.
Yeah.
But I can say the right things, have a great time, and it's included in intimacy.
Right.
Hopefully I ain't say that.
That's right.
So this is a question about intimacy for the women.
We're
Some
giving,
tips.
well, we were
We're
giving
giving
practice.
For the
We're
men. I'm
our-
giving for the men. I just
Well, you
gave
just
for the
jumped.
women.
We
giving
weren't
for men.
finished. Yes.
for men.
Oh,
what
this
the
for the
women
women.
need to
Yeah,
do.
we're giving.
Yeah.
What the
My
women
bad.
need to
No,
do.
we're giving. Chantel and I
For the women.
Boy,
are
these
giving
guys
tips for
tonight.
the men. For the men.
Come on now.
Come on, guys.
For the men. Scott did say a call or text to her in the middle of the day to say you are thinking about her. Thank you. We coming to the men, but we're still with the women,
Oh, yeah.
Scott.
Let's
so
say with
thank
the
you.
ladies.
Yeah, come on, guys. Be a student of your wives,
Be a
right?
student
Yeah,
of
you're
your
right.
wife. You
Right.
have
Go ahead-
one.
go ahead,
you have
ladies.
one
So
to
yeah,
tell.
so I have on here. So when it comes to what does a woman need to strengthen intimacy, I put on here to support my goals.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
support
Okay.
goals.
To support my
Okay,
goals,
yeah.
like so I put on here to take an active interest in what it is
Supporting
that your
goals.
wife
Need a pen.
wants.
But this is not
Okay.
for me, but I was gonna write it
But
down.
not
just in
only
case.
ask her, but ask her how you can help her achieve those goals.
Okay.
Oh,
Boy,
okay.
there's some stones at these glass
Okay.
houses.
No, and I'm just saying.
No,
This
but see,
is starting to feel
we
like
are,
home.
No, we
Yeah.
are
To
talking
giving
to the
tips.
men.
I thought this
We're-
was from
we're
the
giving
girlfriends or for the listeners.
We're giving
Boy,
tips
Choy
to
and
the
I are
men.
getting hit in the gut,
Man.
the jaw.
Well,
No,
see,
You know what?
it doesn't have
No. I
nothing
got
to do
one.
with
I got
that.
one too.
But when
But
you
it's
talk,
not
I got one too.
But when you
Yeah.
talk to when you have conversations with your
Right.
girlfriends, and you know these are some things that come up. You know
All right,
what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
You heard it from a friend.
yeah, from a friend.
Telling
was-
it to another friend.
I was having a couple conversations with a few of my fellas.
Yeah.
You know, and I have male groups of different ages, very young and older.
Yeah.
And what they were saying is that, because this never happened to me though.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
that
said,
the
"Don't blow your
intimacy
chances."
is just letting a man lead. That's intimacy.
Okay,
That's
that
intimacy.
is.
Yeah.
Letting a man
And
lead.
women, are
agree.
y'all
And I
paying
could give
attention?
example. Give
Wives,
example.
y'all paying attention.
I could give example. So, say that you have a daughter, and she's a certain age, right? She's
Yes.
developing,
For a friend.
and you say, "Babe, I don't think that she should be wearing that."
That's another show too.
Yeah. That's another
Hey,
show.
you know what I'm saying? But we talking for a
Yeah.
friend though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know what I'm
and
saying?
we're,
Yeah,
we're
just for a
talking
friend,
about
just for a friend.
intimacy.
We talking-
Intimacy
we talking
versus
for a friend.
versus sex.
This makes it intimate. So just just trusting that a man knows what you know.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that's let a man lead.
And you know what, Choy?
We're
That's
in
funny.
his strengths.
That's
in
funny.
his strengths.
That is
because
because-
we knew
That
that's
is
how we
another-
got you.
That is another show, and let me tell you, to go that we've digressed to something else, right? And Choy is talking about, if you tell your wife that your daughter, who's becoming a woman right before our eyes,
Yeah.
this is a no, this is a yes. you are fighting a losing battle, my brother.
Yeah.
Because I lost that battle.
Well,
With the
I'm
two
losing
ladies,
now.
Yes.
Okay,
But
next
it's not
tip.
over.
It's
The
not. But
next
here's
tip.
my advice: go ahead and lose the battle, but just be there
But
as
it's not
safety
even a
net.
battle. We just
So-
communicate.
so-
Yeah, I know.
Because we in love.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
let me clarify. So
I know, but this is not
I
that
know,
kind
but
of
no. So
situation.
this is something that men need us to do as women to strengthen intimacy.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let a man lead.
Okay,
Would you say
so-
that, Malcolm? Let a man
it's
lead.
always nice to lead. Yes,
Okay,
it
so
is.
Kathy says, as you learn your woman's preferences, remember them so she doesn't have to keep teaching. This creates intimacy because she'll feel appreciated.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
I like
you
that.
so
I
much.
like
So
that.
yes, yes.
I like that.
Then Tanya says, stay on task, Troya.
Yes.
So another tip for,
You're right,
for
Tanya.
husbands, another tip for husbands, take the time to set the atmosphere
Yeah.
where love making is going to take place. It's okay to add the candles, to take a bath with your wife, or a massage, or set the fireplace, start the fireplace, or even a full body massage. In other words, it's okay to set the mood
Yeah.
for the wives
Yeah.
instead of the wives. Both is important now, but I'm saying it's okay to do the reversal and you all do it. So that's another
Absolutely.
tip.
Yeah. And I think really in the grand scheme of things, just be willing to serve.
Yes.
And here's where it becomes like above and beyond, and like Christ, being willing to serve even if you feel that you're not being served.
That's right.
Right.
We have to serve each other.
And we can't trust the feeling, because sometimes we can feel like we're not being served, but our spouse is trying to do the best from whatever reference they may be coming from,
Yeah.
but still be willing to serve. And that takes
Yeah.
that's a huge pill to swallow, to still meet those needs.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's a tip to men and women.
Do you have one?
You go ahead.
I have one. Okay, ladies, men, this is for the men. Foreplay. Foreplay is so important. You have to take time with the foreplay, because basically foreplay is what's going to help us to prepare for that main course that we were talking about. So foreplay, we're like crock pots. It is what it is. But we've talked about intimacy in terms of the long love making sessions, and then we have the quickies. But then when you have the long love making sessions, that's where we need foreplay.
Yeah.
We need our senses tantalized to the fullest.
Yes, come on, poet.
It's amazing how you ladies.
Come on, poet.
It's amazing. It is somehow they
They're so creative with things that could never really actually.
You feel the fingers like this.
I mean, anybody, women, somebody please help us. Put it in the chat. Put fire. Put a fire emoji.
Yeah, put a
or
fire
something.
emoji.
It's
Yeah.
a
Fire
fire.
emoji in there. But seriously, foreplay is very important for us when we are, again, with those long love making sessions, because we need it. It helps us to be all that we can be for you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
And someone said, was it Onisha? She says, how you treat us all day matters when it happens. Happy time at night.
Happy time.
Happy time. We like happy
and
time.
Alma says, a woman needs foreplay to make it right. Thank you.
Yes.
So that was my. I got one more tip, but that's
I
it.
have one.
I got one
said
too.
exploring and learning together, like doing retreats together,
Okay.
doing things
Yes,
where you can,
yes.
be with your spouse. You're exploring, you're learning new things. You're learning about intimacy, possibly
Okay.
depending
Yes,
on the topic
yes,
of the
yes.
retreat. You're learning, other creative things that you could do within your marriage. So I feel like when you take the time and do that together, that builds intimacy. And a lot of women like doing things like that. I think
Right.
sometimes the men are like, because I remember talking to a few couples like, retreat, that just seems so frou-frou, blah, blah. But, I think that if you explore it together, that it
Yes.
helps build intimacy.
Yes, I do too.
So men, find a retreat
Yes,
and sign
yes,
up for you and
yes.
your
That's a
spouse
big
to
one.
go.
That's a
And
big
then
one.
my last one is to talk about the love making session afterwards.
Yeah.
What, let me know, how was it? Both of us. And so that way we can learn and grow his needs, my needs, how was it? And I think that draws you closer together too. So, but just the bottom line is just basically both of us putting forth effort to be all that we can be.
Yeah.
Know how
And
to say
somebody
it.
said, Lillian said, show enough. I don't know what you said, show enough about Lillian, but but we'll take it.
Well, Lori said retreats are awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
But but you have to say it right. You have to love making. If it wasn't up to
say
par,
it right.
Oh yes, definitely. Courteous.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah.
It can't be too
That's right.
critical.
it can't be too critical.
Yes.
But I love to talk. I mean,
Yeah.
And you know what? We've got a little flyer to help them out for this next month coming up in February.
Yes.
And we actually
Our
have the graphic that we can
technician.
show. We're going to put it up for you guys to see.
Yes.
This is our last big tip. Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Just think about that deep Barry White voice. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby.
But yes, this is this starts. It's called the OUC 28 Days of Love Connection Challenge, guys, and it starts February the 1st and it ends on February the 28th. And so we're going to have 28 days of daily fun activities for couples to do together to deepen the connection. There will be weekly prizes to be won. And then the grand prize, there is a grand prize for the couple that gets the most points. So scan that QR code and also go to our Facebook page, which is OUC Family Ministries, and you can sign up there. The flyer and the link has been posted as well. And so we want you guys to sign up and participate. And you have more information on that flyer once you click on the QR code, the link, or scan the QR code. There's more information how to participate. But guys, come on. If you are married, sign up for this 28 Days of Love Connection Challenge so that you and your spouse, you can do fun things together for 28 days. Let's get connected, because sometimes we are disconnected and we forget to do some of the things that you're going to see that's on the daily activities.
All right. And so I'm going to be like that hype man, right? Yeah, you're right, Joel. I'm doing a little Barry White over here. But I'm going to be this hype man. If your marriage is on the river, on the bank, or if your marriage is hot and spicy, we talk about marriages being in seasons, winter, spring, summer, and fall. I need you guys like a personal trainer. If you got that Peloton or whatever, I need you to suck it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Men, suck it up and do this 28-day challenge. Women, hey, pull out all you got. If you need to pull him along, or if he needs to pull you along,
right.
do this 28-day challenge, please, guys.
Yes.
I mean, you really, we're going to be like personal trainers here. We're going to.
Yeah, because what basically this conversation tonight is to talk about the difference between the two, so that we can have a stronger connection, because that's what it's all about. Both of us as married couples coming together and connecting deeper, which is going to strengthen our marriages. And so, guys, again, the flyer will be posted on Oakwood's website. You can find it under Family Ministries. Go to our Facebook page, which is OUC Family Ministries, and then it will also be advertised. So, guys, make sure you go ahead and sign up so that you can start preparing and to participate.
Yes,
absolutely.
Like Donna, a lot of days of love.
And
That's
then,
right.
men,
Yes,
talk to us,
when you
Chantel.
see the activities, do what Malcolm said, like follow it,
suck
not
it up.
just the days where it's love making and sex,
Yeah.
because we have some of that on there too. Like, do the other activities with your wife as well.
Be intentional. That's what it's really about as
Yeah.
well. Being intentional with the daily activities.
And guys, I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to myself. I'm trying to hype myself up because, I mean, sometimes you like, man, this is day 4. Oh, man, I'm trying to hype myself up too, so we can all do it together, men and women. And maybe when we come back again, when that's our time for Committed and Covered, we can do a check-in, and ask people how they're. We might just ask you guys anyway. Join us somewhere, somehow. We're gonna let you know.
Well, we'll be here in
And
April.
we'll keep a check-in.
We'll be here in April, but if you go, and we'll be able to check in with you in our Facebook page. So,
Lauren asked, can you guys give us an example of foreplay?
Foreplay. Okay.
Foreplay, and this is just me talking. Foreplay starts with words, right?
Okay,
I know we
so-
talk about touch,
right,
but
right.
a simple "I love you" and how much, and I'm happy I married you.
Right.
Just the words of affirmation in love, and then the touch that follows it.
Yeah, so foreplay can be outside of the bedroom
Yes.
that leads up into the bedroom. And so when I say outside of the bedroom, like I mentioned earlier, when my husband comes up behind me and he hugs me and he squeezes me, or he gives me a kiss, or he may send a sexual text message, or just conversating with me. So that's outside. And those are just some things I'm naming, but there's other things.
Yeah.
But then when we get to the bedroom, it's the touching, the rubbing before we actually have work on the act.
And the whispering
It's
in
the
the ear.
things that's before
It's the
sex,
things-
right?
it's the things
Joy
before
said
Joe
Troy
said-
answered that.
And you
Troy.
did on cue. You answered it on cue.
Yeah, it's what happens before.
Right, so-
Everything before. And for each individual, as far as couples, we it's a pursuit to understand and learn what type of foreplay works best for you.
Right.
And so we get to the touch. I might want to be touched a certain way. I might want to be fondled a certain way. I might want to be kissed a certain way in certain places for certain lengths of time. So she asked for the
Right.
stuff, but I'm gonna stop right here because
Right.
we almost at the end
that
of the
was
show.
Joel.
And but the
like
young
Lori
lady
said,
Lauren
yeah.
asked it initially.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that her question is answered.
Yeah.
And so it is what works best for you before sex. And so I think
Right.
each definition for each man and woman is going to be different, but it's an essential thing to learn in a marriage.
Sometimes you got to write it down.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So yes. So great question, Lauren.
Yes.
All right,
And so
guys.
because it's different for everyone. So this brings us to a close.
That's
Wanna
right.
close
So
this
with our
out?
last 30 seconds, we want to tell you guys thank you for coming out
Yes,
and
yes,
joining
yes.
us. We want you to share this broadcast with somebody, guys, right? And we want you to pass the word along about sex versus intimacy. They're not in a fight together.
No.
They can be one and the same, and they can be completely different. Okay, guys? Remember that. And know what you like for yourself and for your spouse. And the way you do that, communication. And then
Yes.
with that piece of communication, always include God in that. Some
Always,
prayer.
Absolutely.
always.
So with that, we'll
Yeah,
end this in some prayer to the Holy Father. Dear Lord, we just want to thank you so much for what you gave us, and that's the gift of marriage outside of the garden. And with that, Lord, intimacy with one another. And Lord, even in the Bible, when it said that Adam knew Eve, that was intimacy. So bless us with that, and bless us to be prepared during this 28-day challenge in February, Lord, to be closer to you and each other as husband and wife. And this is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right,
See
guys.
you
Hey, but
next
while we're
time.
going out, producer, can you put that up for us, the 28-day challenge? Because we got 10 seconds. All right. So we love you guys, and we'll see
That's
you
right.
Yes.
in 30 days.